Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a long while since I found a good book to read, okay? And I took this as a sign that I needed to start getting back to my roots. I needed to get my life together because, to be honest, reading makes me extremely happy. A spot in my life when I can just turn off my brain, imagine a super amazing slash entertaining slash all-consuming story. I just feel like reading is one of those really immersive things that you can do for yourself that, just for me personally, my anxiety goes away and my overthinking goes away. It's been quite a few months where I have not found a great book to read. A lot of the books I've been reading are pretty mid, not bad, not good, or they're just horrible and I just skip it all together. So I decided to finally film my video, as you can see from the title of this video, on Twilight. Some backstory to Twilight and me. The last time I read a Twilight book, I was in middle school. I read the entire series, I believe. I don't think I finished Breaking Dawn, actually. I read up to Eclipse, and I stopped there for some reason, but I was Twihard. I loved all of the Twilight movies. And when the first movie in 2008 or whatever year the first movie ever came out, my sister loved Twilight. Therefore, me being a follower of my older sister also loved Twilight, and she wanted to buy every single Twilight book that there was, mind you, at the time, especially in middle school. We did not really own any books. We borrowed from the library. Also, books are expensive, okay? And my parents, like, we did not have money. They did not want to spend $80+ on buying books. But we begged our parents to go to Borders. Remember Borders? I remember going to Borders bookstore right before closing at 7 p.m. and they were closing at 8 p.m. We walked in there and said, "Can we buy the entire Twilight series?" And my parents, bless their kind hearts, actually got it for us. I was maybe in 5th grade going into 6th grade and my sister was in love with it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read it too. Read this first book. The rest was history. I was a Twihard. I was not the biggest, most insane Twihard as you could possibly know because I didn't read the last book. And it being maybe 15 years, oh my god, I feel so old. I'm 25. Maybe being 15 to 13 years since I've read this book, I wanted to revisit it and see if it holds up. Welcome to the journey of Twilight. It'll basically be like me reading it for the first time ever. But I remember eating these books up when I was younger. When I was a kid, I remember reading it, and I remember specifically reading New Moon and sobbing my eyes out every single night while I was reading the beginning of that book. For some reason, I remember it being really sad. I don't remember anything about the books, but I remember I loved the movies. We saw the movies as they came out. This is gonna be a throwback. This is the original copy that I bought at Borders bookstore. We still have it. It still looks like it's in great condition too. Let's just get right into it. If you've never heard of what Twilight is, where have you been? You're either really old or really young. Because if you're somewhere in the middle, there's no way you haven't heard what Twilight is. It's like not knowing what Harry Potter is. Twilight is a series of books that are utterly iconic in the way that it has changed pop culture history so much. It has changed the trajectory of pop culture. Since these books came out, there have been remakes, there have been parodies, there have been fan fictions of Twilight that have turned into other popular franchises like 50 Shades of Grey, like a million other things that I could probably name off the top of my head. It probably created the Wattpad to movie pipeline. There's probably so many things that I could say and it all leads back to Twilight. Like, that's how iconic Twilight is. You know how everyone says any bad thing that happens in our society, it could all be traced back to Reagan? Like, this is the exact same thing, except in pop culture form. If you don't know what Twilight's about, it is a paranormal romance book. It's a young adult book. So it follows a teenage girl named Bella Swan. She moves to a new city and falls in love with a vampire. That's literally it. I'm so excited for the angst. I love a good angsty book and the drama and how dramatic everybody is. I think I remember Bella specifically being insanely dramatic. We'll see about that. This is what I'm wondering. Just starting out the book. First few pages, Bella, I'm getting the vibe that she thinks she's like an old soul. She's probably a Tumblr girl. 100% she's probably a Tumblr girl. The way she speaks is like, she uses insanely big words that teenagers, especially nowadays, and like in general, don't really use. Like, he seemed generally pleased that I was coming in to live with him for the first time with any degree of permanence. Neither of us was what anyone would call verbose, and I didn't know what there was to say regardless. It was to Forks that I now exiled myself, an action that I took with great horror. I detested Forks. I'm like, girl, why is she talking like she's in like a 1950s drama? That's what's kind of giving. All right, right off the bat, we are introduced to Bella Swan. She is the protagonist of the book. Miss Girl is so angsty. She for sure, 2005, 2004, she for sure had a Tumblr page full of angsty little quotes. She is not like most girls. I honestly remember the movie very, very well, and I think so far, even only being 40 pages into this book, the movie is a really good adaptation of this book. Tell me why Kristen Stewart playing Bella was actually the perfect portrayal. She is so awkward and she cannot really talk to anybody and doesn't really know how to make conversation with people, has horrible hand-eye coordination. She is YN to the fullest extent. She just moved to Forks, Washington, which is a very, very small town, basically in the middle of nowhere where it's always raining, similar to Seattle, but it's not a big city. It is a very, very small town. And she moves in here with her dad. She grew up around here, but she's never really lived there. Her dad and her mom are divorced. Her mom lives in Florida. I forget. I don't remember. I think they said it in here. She's going to a new school, staying in a new place where she doesn't know anybody. Her dad bought her a car, which is super, super nice of him. It's his old clanky truck. She doesn't know anybody in town, just trying to know her way around. And she goes into her first day of school. She is the talk of the town. Everyone's staring at her because it is a small town and there is a new girl in town. She's trying to fit in, trying to blend in, but it's not really working because everybody in town knows each other. I'm only 40 pages in, okay? I can't possibly understand what goes on here. Why is this book 600 pages long? How many pages is it? Like 500 pages long and this thick when like I feel like a lot has happened in these 40 pages, but maybe I'm just tripping. I don't know. I don't remember this book being written this way. I totally thought it was written better. I don't know how else to explain it. It feels like it's written by a third grader. The sentence structure just does not flow. All right, and I'm not really big on poetic writing or writing eloquently, but I think the author uses so many big words. Bella, because we are in her POV, tries to speak as if she's an old soul and is super smart and knows all of these words. Like she's reading Wuthering Heights on her free time. You didn't have phones really back then, but still, I'm like, okay, you're reading Wuthering Heights on your free time. She's not like most girls, okay? They use bigger words, but the sentences are so abrupt. It's just like every single sentence just feels like I did this, then I did that, then I did that. And I wish we got more of like her feeling. This is just like my initial impression. We do meet the Cullens already, all right? The Cullens are a group of adopted kids. So honestly, I see how she kind of connects to the Cullens in that way because just like she's an outsider, they are outsiders. And it is a family of jaw-droppingly beautiful people, are insanely pale, and they all date each other, which is so weird, but they are all adopted siblings. Like, it's giving Little Spider or Little Stranger or whatever freaking crazy book that was where they were adopted siblings and then started dating each other. But they are all adopted siblings. They got adopted by Dr. Cullen and his wife, who we have not met yet. And she sees them walk into the lunchroom, the cafeteria, and is like, who is that? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. They also describe them looking similar to their early 20s or not exactly teenagers. They walk into this room. Immediately off the bat, Bella notices Edward. Like, oh, who is that? He's also the only one who's not coupled up because everyone else of the kids are dating each other and he's not. And she is like, oh, who is that? And Jessica, which is a friend that Bella made, says, oh, his name's Edward Cullen, but he doesn't talk to anybody, he's kind of weird. And she ends up having class with him, biology class. And she walked into the biology room, and tell me why, like, I'm so sorry. My brain, there's no part of me reading this book where I don't think about the movie as well, because my brain has ingrained the biology scene into my head so vividly that I cannot imagine it going any other way. I started cackling at reading this book, okay? He's sitting there and he gives her the stank face. Like the stankiest a stank face. Like, he's utterly aghast. He does one of these things like, okay, wait, Bella's right here. He's sitting right here, okay? He literally scooches all the way to the corner of his chair and is like, all class time, he tries to switch out of the class. He tries to do anything to avoid Bella because she's just stinky. Like, she's stinky, she nasty. She obviously senses the vibe that Edward does not like her, and she is so butthurt. She really is like, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm just trying to do biology together and he hates me. And I love that. I love that because of that. And she's kind of like reading into things like, it can't be because of me, right? Like, I'm not so egotistical to think that he's missing school because he hates me that much. Like, what did I ever do to him? I haven't even said one word to him. And Edward hasn't ever come to school for like the next week. Now we are on chapter 2. That all happened in one chapter. That's what I'm saying is like, this book feels like it's going by so fast. Anyway, I honestly find it very interesting. The writing is kind of bothering me. It doesn't flow so much to the point where it kind of irks me sometimes, but I'm hoping that I can get used to it. Okay, I might as well go chapter for chapter for this book. We are now at a part where Edward finally comes back to school. He has different colored eyes. That's something that they mention throughout the book, that at first, when they first met each other, his eyes were onyx black, like super, super black eyes, and then he didn't come to school for a week. He finally comes back to school, and they turn into this like auburn brown, lighter colored eyes, and that's something that she notices. He finally comes back to school after a week. He starts to try to make conversation with her. And this is very small talk conversation. Bella is obviously super awkward. Edward is obviously super awkward. They're just talking about life. They're talking about the weather, like, oh my god, it's snowing today. Bella says, I don't really like the snow, but it's not that bad. Some stupid stuff, right? She goes home to her car, goes to the parking lot. It's icy outside. Standing next to her car, she sees Edward from far down the parking lot, not near her at all. Another truck nearby comes barreling in. Everything happens so fast. She's like, oh my god, I'm going to die. The truck was about to hit her and squish her between her own car and the other truck. All of a sudden, Edward is standing right in front of her from all the way across the parking lot. Standing right in front of her, brings her up and like moves her around the car and pushes the truck that was gonna hit her away with his hand, and she hits her head and she's like, what the frick just happened? How did you do that? She has so many questions, and Edward is so dismissive. He's kind of a jerk to her a lot. And he's like, just leave it alone. I saved your life, etc., etc. She goes to the hospital. And of course, everyone is fawning over Bella. She is YN of the story, okay? Everyone is just in love with her. Like, we want to be Bella in this story, okay? When I was in high school, now reading this, I'm like, this is so Wattpad, because I can already imagine me reading this in middle school and being like, I wish I was her. Being so angsty, feeling like the world hates me, but everyone is just coming to me and loving me and caring for me and like wanting to be with me. Like, I so badly wanted that when I was in middle school, and have all these boys fawn over me, her being so angsty and also so clumsy. Like, she is the most clumsiest person you could ever imagine. She's in the hospital, right? She finally meets Dr. Cullen, who is Edward's dad. Mr. Cullen does a little checkup on her. She's totally fine. She gets out of the hospital bed and she starts tripping over herself. I'm like, girl, Miss Girl trips over herself twice a day. She's dropping stuff everywhere, doesn't know how to play volleyball. She is like a newborn baby. She goes back to school and she tries to interrogate Edward. So what happened? I don't really like lying, and I'm gonna keep your secret for you, that you were all the way across the parking lot and all of a sudden was in front of me and pushed the car away with your hand. I can't explain it, but I need you to explain it to me. I'm gonna keep the secret for you, but I need to explain it. And he's like, so mean. He's like, Bella, leave it alone. You don't want to know. I think it's best if we just don't speak to each other again. Just leave it alone. And he's such a meanie about it. And she's so butthurt by it. And so for the rest of the week, she goes back to school. She ignores him and vice versa. He ignores her. At home, she starts dreaming about Edward. And then the spring dance. Spring dance is a girls ask the boys. Edward is always in her periphery. Notice everything that he does. This girl is obsessed, okay? If I saw a beautiful looking man in a small town like that, who's super angsty, seems like he hates me, but is always staring at me too, yeah, I'd be obsessed too. I'd dream about him too. I'd be delusional about it too. She is so real for that. There is this girls ask guys dance, like a Sadie Hawkins type of thing. One of her friends that she made, Jessica, is like, oh, I'm thinking about asking Mike to the dance. And she's such a good person, because she asked Bella, like, is it okay if I ask Mike to the dance? Like, why do you have to ask Bella? I maybe she thought that Bella had feelings for Mike, but no, Mike has feelings for Bella. Of course Mike has feelings for Bella. Everybody in this town has feelings for Bella. And we find this out soon enough because Jessica asks Mike to the dance. Mike then says, I'll think about it. Mike goes to Bella and says, hey, Jessica asked me to dance. I told her, like, I'll think about it. And she goes, why don't you just say yes? Mike says, well, I thought maybe you'd ask me. And Bella goes, no, you should say yes to Jessica. The And then Mike ends up going back to Jessica, saying yes to go to the dance with her. Then throughout the day, Edward is always in her periphery, watching over her or looking at her. This other guy comes up to her by her car. Eric? Is it Eric? I forget the name. The other guy in the friend group says, Bella, I was wondering if you would go to the dance with me. And Bella says, I thought it was a girls ask guys dance. He goes, yeah, but like, can you ask me? She's like, no, I'm not even gonna be in town. Every man in this freaking town wants to go to this dance with her. I wanna be Bella. I do not care how juvenile this story is. Me being 25, about to be 26 years old, I'm eating it up, okay? I am getting the feelings that I was getting when I was that age. I wanted everybody to want me so bad, but I wanted to be like, no, I don't want you. Like, I just feel it in my soul, okay? I feel it in my heart. I feel like I'm reading a cheesy Wattpad story, and I actually love it. So far, it is so cheesy, it is so angsty, it is so camp. That's the feeling I get from it, and I am enjoying it. I am enjoying it so far. And then Eric, or whatever the next guy, asked her to go to the dance with her. The guy who almost hit her with the car, the one who was driving the truck that almost hit her, says, hey, Bella, I think you should ask me to the dance. And she's like, no, I'm not even gonna be in town. And she's like, get away from me, everybody. I know everyone wants me, but like, this is just too much work. All these guys want me, and all I want and can't stop thinking about is Edward, and he doesn't even want me. Girl is living the dream, to be honest. I find it hilarious. Miss Clumsy Bella YN character. And I haven't watched the movie in a long time, but from what I remember from the movie, thinking back about the movie and the book, it's actually completely accurate. I think they gave so much flack to Kristen Stewart about her performance as Bella. Reading this book, she did an amazing job. This is exactly who Bella was in the book. Everything Kristen Stewart did is exactly what Bella would have done, how Bella would have acted, how awkward Bella was. It's perfect. And I might do another video watching the movie after reading this book. I'm eating this up. Look, I'm barely in the beginning. It's probably gonna be like a 1.5 hour video of just going plot for plot point of what happens in this book, because I'm having fun, you guys. The limerence is so strong with this one, okay? She is so obsessed with Edward. On page 79. Of course he wasn't interested in me, I thought angrily, my eyes stinging. A delayed reaction to the onions. Sure, girl. I wasn't interesting, and he was. Interesting, and brilliant, and mysterious, and perfect, and beautiful, and possibly able to lift full-size vans with one hand. She's just so damn bad for this guy. It's giving toxic, but whatever. It's still fun. Edward is doing the like, no, I don't want you. Stay away. Come here. No, I don't want you, stay away. He's finally let it go and is okay, we can be friends. Despite me pushing you away, I'm finally just letting it come and being like, fine, I can't stay away from you. I have to be friends with you. And now they're more cordial with each other, Edward and Bella. But then there's this one scene that I'm reading right now, and she gets sick in biology class because she faints at the sight of blood. She fainted, and Edward says, here, I'll take you home. She's about to walk to her car, and he yanks her by her hood, says, where do you think you're going? And she's like, I'm gonna drive myself home. He's like, no, I said I was gonna take you home. And literally like drags her by her hoodie to his car. It's kind of toxic. It's kind of toxic. It's giving abusive tendencies or behavior. The mood swings are not really good. Let me read the scene out to you. He lowered the automatic window and leaned towards me across the seat. I was mentally calculating my chances of reaching the truck before he could catch me. I had to admit, they weren't good. I'll just drag you back, he threatened, guessing my plan. I tried to maintain what dignity I could as I got into his car. It wasn't successful. I looked like a half-drowned cat in my boots squeaking. I don't know why he's physically dragging her to her car. This is such a little minuscule part of the book, but I'm just like, all they do, for the most part, between their little conversations with each other is bicker. They bicker about everything. It's just a lot of small talk. How old are you, Bella? His voice sounded frustrated for some reason I couldn't imagine. I'm 17, I responded, a little confused. You don't seem 17. His tone was reproachful. It made me laugh. It's giving Predator! Just because she likes Debussy and Clair de Lune, just because she likes a little classical music, just because she reads Wuthering Heights in her free time and is super clumsy and not like most girls, he hits her with the line of, you don't seem 17. I'm trying to justify it mentally. His brain maybe has not developed. I know he's lived up to 100+ years of life, but maybe mentally it couldn't surpass being 17. And mentally he is a 17-year-old. That is the only way I can ever justify it, but that is a creepy statement by him. You don't seem 17, you seem older. You're very mature for your age. Shut up. Shut up. My mind must be so twisted because I'm reading the part where Bella goes to Port Angeles with Angela and Jessica. They're looking for prom dresses, and she gets surrounded by a group of guys who are going to do something horrible to her. Edward pulls up in his Volvo, says get in, and basically essentially saves her from this horrible situation. They go out to dinner. So now it's Edward and Bella at this dinner. Edward walks up to the hostess. I don't know if it's like compulsion. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but I'm so twisted from Vampire Diaries 2 and like all of the other vampire media I've consumed. I feel like this was the OG when it comes to popular vampire media. Edward goes up to the host and says like, oh, table for two. The way this host reacts, looks at him and is like, this man is beautiful. Oh my god, she's like gobsmacked, jaw-dropping. This man is the hottest man in the world. Mind you, he's 17 years old. He's a 17-year-old boy. I mean, he's technically not 17 years old, but you know what I mean. Like, he looks 17 years old. And this hostess is godsmacked about Edward. This is the hottest man alive. Walks in to this restaurant with Bella, who looks quote-unquote average. The hostess walks them to a table. He compels her. I'm just gonna call it compulsion. He compels the hostess to say, oh, I don't really like this table. Can you take us to another table? And she's like, yeah, I'll take you to another table. And walks them over to another table. And she's like confused herself about it. She says, sure, how's this? The hostess says, perfect. He flashes his gleaming smile, dazzling her momentarily. She shook her head, blinking. Your server will be right out. You really shouldn't do that to people I criticize. It's hardly fair. Do what? Says Edward. Dazzle them like that. She's probably hyperventilating in the kitchen right now. He seems confused. Oh, come on. You have to know the effect you have on people. I dazzle people? You haven't noticed? Do you think everybody gets their way so easily? He ignores my questions. Do I dazzle you? Frequently. I think I'm so skewed on the order in which I'm reading Twilight and how much Twilight has affected pop culture because Twilight made 50 Shades of Grey. I read 50 Shades of Grey when I was too young to have been reading a book like that, okay? But I will admit it, I read that book. Reading this scene, being like, oh, you're so hot, you always get your way. This entire conversation between Edward and Bella reminds me so much of 50 Shades of Grey. And in my head, I'm like, oh my god, this is Christian Grey right here. But it's not Christian Grey, it's literally Edward. Edward was the blueprint. And the things that they talk about in here, a red flag, that Edward's like, oh, I have an issue with temper. Sir, you need to get that checked out. That's a red flag right there. So he does that thing where it feels so similar to 50 Shades of Grey. I was obsessed with 50 Shades of Grey when I was too young to be obsessed, but whatever. Christian in 50 Shades of Grey is so hot to the point where people will do anything for him, and every single girl looks at him like, oh my god, this guy's so hot. Will open doors for him and will fall to their knees for this guy. And the same thing is happening to Edward here. And then there's another scene where they order the food and he goes, drink, he ordered. I sipped my soda obediently, then drank more deeply, surprised at how thirsty I was. Are you cold? It's just the Coke. Don't you have a jacket? His voice was disapproving. Yes. I looked at the empty bench next to me. Oh, I left it in Jessica's car. The way he's acting, I keep bringing it up, but in 50 Shades of Grey, Christian is always telling Anna, oh, you need to eat. You need to do this. You need to do, like, so focused on what she's eating 24/7. And, like, the way that Edward is acting right here, I see the vision. I understand how Christian came out of Edward, because Edward is very much giving Christian vibes. Basically, a long-winded way of wanting to say that. I think this is like the first scene where they're getting into the nitty-gritty detail of them conversing and getting more intimate and opening up to each other. I think at this point, Bella already has an inkling that he's a vampire because they went to La Push and that's where she meets Jacob, and then they have this whole conversation about cold ones, which are vampires, and the Cullens are vampires, and there's this treaty with the werewolves, which Jacob comes from werewolves. I stretched my hand across the table again, ignoring him when he pulled back slightly once more, to touch the back of his hands shyly with my fingertips. His skin was cold and hard, like a stone. I'm sorry, how is that in any way romantic? I'm so sorry, I cannot imagine cuddling a stone. I can't imagine being, I want someone to wrap their arms around me, and it's like a stone, like cold. I understand it's the paranormalcy of it, but I'm just like, a stone? It just makes me think like he's literally a dead body. Did you hear that? That's Jacob howling because he agrees. The timing of that was crazy. Now this man admits to stalking Bella. He's literally like, the reason why I found you here and saved you from all those guys who were gonna do horrible things to you was because I followed you here. Admits to being able to read people's minds, so he said he reads Angela's mind or Jessica's mind, the girls that she was with, Bella's friends. He literally is like, I knew that you would run into some trouble because trouble always seems to follow you. Okay, it's giving stalker romance. It's so dark romance coded. I don't know what to think. He's so toxic. It's like fun. Like, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's fun. I didn't want to leave to go hunting. Full out admitting he's a vampire at this point. I didn't want to leave this weekend to go hunting with Emmett, but it was necessary. It's a bit easier to be around you when I'm not thirsty. Why didn't you want to leave? It makes me anxious to be away from you. These freaking teenagers are dealing with an insane amount of limerence. What do you mean it makes you anxious to not be around her? You barely know her. You don't even show up to biology class. You've maybe had 2 full conversations with her and you're literally like, I'm so anxious, I can't be with you. What? Boy, what? You guys do not know an ounce about each other. Little Miss Bella, doing her YN thing, has this thing about her where trouble follows her everywhere. She's always tripping. She's always falling over air. She hurt her hands, and she literally says, what? Your hands. I fell. That's what I thought. I suppose being you could have been much worse. And that possibility tormented me the entire time I was away. It was a very long 3 days. I really got on Emmett's nerves. Bella, being the clumsy girl she is Perfect for a man like Edward. Just loves to worry about her. Match made in heaven. I don't know if I can take this book. I really don't. Miss Bella is so dramatic. You know what I'm thinking? Like, I think maybe as a teenager, maybe I was this dramatic too. Maybe we were all this dramatic. What is she saying? She is in the car with Edward and they're having this little tiny fight. It's not even a fight. They're just having a conversation. And she says, I didn't like it, not seeing you too. It makes me anxious too. He was all, oh, it makes me anxious because I really want to see you at school. And she's like, it makes me anxious too. Very interested in you, even though I don't know 2 things about you. Like, what is Edward's favorite color? And he's like mad at her because he has a temper, saying, you shouldn't be that way. Why are you anxious? One thing, if I feel this way, it's one thing for me to be miserable because I'm starting to have this sort of fascination with you because I can't read your mind. You're this new girl in town. You're just very interesting to me. It's one thing for me to have that with you, but I'm a vampire. I'm dangerous. In this car alone with you, I could suck out your blood. You shouldn't have that feeling towards me. I don't want to hear that you are having a crush on me. He says that in fewer words. And she's in the car, she's like this. She starts crying. He literally says, are you crying? Are you crying? Because that's how I read it. I'm like, girl, why are you crying? Exactly word for word he says. Don't you see, Bella? It's one thing for me to make myself miserable, but a wholly other thing for you to be so involved. I don't want to hear that you feel that way. It's wrong. It's not safe. I'm dangerous, Bella. Please grasp that. She goes, no. He says, I'm serious. So am I. I told you it doesn't matter what you are. It's too late. He says, never say that. Are you crying? Then he takes her home. She talks about going back to school. Jessica, like, I'll tell you all about it tomorrow in trigonometry class. About 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was a part of him, and I didn't know how potent that part might be, that thirsted for my blood. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him. Iconic line, might I add. But they have not had more than 4 scenes together. And 2 of those scenes, he was just saving your life because you almost got hit by a car or you almost got hurt by a group of people. And he was stalking you. The other 2, you guys are bickering, but you also aren't having real conversations. I don't know what it is. It's like, I feel like you didn't really get much time with them at all. And I'm already 200 pages into this book. Low-key enjoying myself, but also low-key not. I don't know how to feel about it. It is, what, a 500-page book? So I got 300 more pages to go. This video is gonna be long as hell. Might be a little too angsty for me, to be honest. I don't know if I could take it. I love how melodramatic it is, though. I truly, truly, truly love it. I love how dramatic everybody is in this book. They're so dramatic, but I also can't take it being so dramatic to the point where it doesn't even make sense. She's in the car. He says, I don't think you should think about me that way. I don't want you to have a crush on me. Don't feel that way about me. She goes, are you crying? I don't remember where I left off on this video, but here's my update. I'm getting kind of bored, to be honest. I love a good high school romance, super angsty type of book. I think this is a little bit too high school for me because they talk about going to class, the things they do during school. I went to biology class and that's where I met Jessica, my bestie, and we watched a video in biology class. I don't care. I don't care. I want to get to the angst. I want to get to the romance. High school should not exist. This just feels like the diary of a high school girl, to be honest. And right now, it is kind of dragging a little bit. Edward and Bella are finally together. Every now and then, have little deep talks or confessions to each other. We'll just talk about how they're super, super infatuated with each other. And that's basically all they talk about. All they talk about through this entire book is, you need to stay away from me. I want you so bad. I can't stay away from you. I want to be with you. You're so interesting to me. That's literally all Edward says. You're so captivating. I just want to know everything about you. She's just a clumsy girl who is not like most girls. That's literally all she is. There is one part. Oh, basically now we're getting to a part of the book where it's kind of slowed down, but a lot of the school knows that Edward and Bella are together. They're not really boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever, but they're hanging out. He picks her up from her house to drive her to school almost every day, and they walk to school together. And we haven't really met any of Edward's family or anything like that. The thing that really irks me about this book, though, I really thought I was gonna eat the shit up. I really thought it was gonna be, oh my god, the best Wattpad book ever, because I love a good Wattpad story. I love a good trashy, honestly, like Colleen Hoover-esque book. I love the entertainment value there is to that. It's like watching reality TV. There is substance to it because it's so entertaining and it's so fun to watch. I thought this was going to be that type of read. I thought this was going to be so fun to read, but I'm just getting so bored a little bit being halfway through just because the description of everything is so undescriptive. This book is 500 pages, but nothing is happening. Or they're not just, I don't care for descriptive writing. I don't care if they're gonna detail the look of a room for 10 pages. I really don't like that. It's okay to be not descriptive, but this is too generic. Let me give you an example, because Bella talks about his smell. Something as simple as that. Edward gives Bella his jacket to wear and puts it around herself, and she's like, oh, his smell. The smell. That's all she says. I'm like, girl, what does it smell like? Trash? Like, what does it smell like? And that wasn't the only time she brought up his smell. She said, maybe last night was a dream. Maybe I dreamed him up. That entire time I had dinner with him, I hung out with him, he drove me home. Maybe it was all a dream. But I know it wasn't a dream because his smell, I couldn't have imagined it. Girl, what does it smell like? Oranges? Caca? The sky? Literally anything. At least in other books like The Predator or The Reaper or any other romance, dark romance, etc. And they talk about smell so much and obnoxiously, like he smelled like whiskey and sin. Sure. But she's just like, oh my god, I couldn't get over his smell. I'm like, girl, what is it? Like B.O.? What are we talking about? And there's just so many parts of this book that are like that. It's just so nondescriptive. There's no sense of vibe to the book. I don't feel like it's eerie. I don't feel like there's a sort of mood or tone to the book at all. It's just like, I went to school, I went to this class. I'm like, girl, I need more. I need to feel something while reading it. You know what I mean? Yeah, that is my update. Let's see where we go from here. Okay, now we're a little bit halfway through the book. I am around page 287. Things are finally getting good. We're actually getting somewhere with a little bit more detail about how everybody is feeling and kind of confessionals, which I love a good confessional. That's the reason why I'll say I love the A Court in Thorns and Roses series, because the second book has a huge confessional, which was an entire chapter just rewinding back to the first time that couple met each other and kind of seeing it through the POV of the other person in the relationship. So this is kind of getting a little bit more of a POV of what Edward is feeling, and it kind of makes me want to read Midnight Sun because I really want to understand what he's feeling, but I also at the same time got so many icks reading this part, okay? So this is a scene where Edward and Bella are going out on their little date. He takes her to a hike. Insane first date. Or I guess they went out on dinner before, but still, like, I would consider this their first official date. He takes her to a meadow that takes 5 miles to hike there. Insane. I don't understand why Bella would agree to this, but she's not like most girls. So she agrees on a 5-mile hike in the middle of nowhere with a vampire who could potentially kill her. That's why she's not like most girls. I don't think I would be able to do that. In the meadow, it's super romantic. They sit and he shows her her skin and he glitters in the sunlight. That's why burn in the sunlight, but he glitters, he shines. It's romance. She's just so in love with him already, but barely knows the guy. And this is where Edward kind of opens up and confesses to Bella about the first time he ever saw her, when he's like in the biology room. Edward talks about how much he craved Bella and how Bella is kind of similar to an alcoholic with alcohol. He gives the analogy of you put an alcoholic in a room full of alcohol, maybe they may be able to resist. But it becomes a lot harder when that alcohol is not just any type, it's the most aged, high-end brand of brandy or brand of scotch. It would be insanely hard for an alcoholic to resist that, and Bella is sort of that person for Edward when it comes to her blood. The scent of her blood makes him feral, like he wants to eat her and devour her. That's kind of insane, but I kind of love that sort of like, ooh, it's forbidden, it's on the edge of something dangerous. I really like that. I don't know if this is just showing his age, because right now Bella's 17. So Bella can't even drink alcohol. Not sure if this is just showing Edward's age or if Bella would even understand this analogy, because I don't even think she drinks or understands alcohol like that. But anyway, basically they go into the idea of like, my blood is like your own brand of heroin. You're an addict to blood, and I am just that one thing for you that you just cannot resist. So he talks about the first time that they met on 269. He said, "It took everything I had not to jump in the middle of that class full of children." And okay, first of all, this chapter is really showing the pedo in Edward. He is such a pedo because he's talking about a classroom full of children, including Bella. Bella is a child in his eyes, essentially. If you're saying that this is a classroom full of children, Bella's no different. She's the same age as everybody else. It took everything I had not to jump in the middle of that classroom full of children, and when you walked past me, I could have ruined everything Carlisle had built for us. Right then and there. If I hadn't been denied my thirst for the last, too many years, I wouldn't have been able to stop myself. To me, it was like you were some kind of demon, summoned straight from my own personal hell to ruin me. The fragrance coming off of your skin, I thought it would make me deranged that first day. So he was literally feral. He was like, I want to eat her. Sorry. In that 1 hour, I thought of 100 different ways to lure you from my room with me, to get you alone. And I fought them each back, thinking of my family, what I could do to them. I had to run out to get away before I could speak the words that would make you follow. How romantic! He just wants to eat her! This book is gagging me. And then, as I tried to rearrange my schedule in a pointless attempt to avoid you, you were there, in that close, warm little room. That scent was maddening. I so very nearly took you then. There was only one other frail human there, so easily dealt with. You're making him sound so scary. I kind of like this forbidden romance aspect, this I want something that I can never have. I guess this cover makes sense now, because I never really understood the cover, but if you're thinking about the analogy with temptation and the apple of like Adam and Eve, I'm pretty sure that this is Apple being Bella, right? This idea that he really wants her and everyone's telling him he can't have her, he's not allowed to be with her, let alone drink her blood. He finally takes a bite of that apple, and that's where humans were made. Stuff like that. I don't know the exact story of Adam and Eve, but I know it has to do with Eve eating this apple or something. I think this makes sense now. But I resisted. I don't know how. I forced myself to not wait for you, not follow you from the school. It was easier outside when I couldn't smell you anymore, to think clearly, to make the right decision. I left the others near home. I was too ashamed to tell them how weak I was. I only knew something was very wrong. Then I went straight to Carlisle at the hospital to tell him I was leaving. I traded cars for him. I didn't want to stop. I didn't dare go home. By the next morning, I was in Alaska. I spent 2 days there with some old acquaintances, but I was homesick. I dealt with temptation before, not of this magnitude, not even close. This part also gags me, okay? This part is also giving Edward as a pedo. But I was strong. Who were you? An insignificant little girl, to chase me from the place I wanted to be. Creeper vibes, creepy vibes. You're calling her a little girl. Now you want to be romantically involved with her. Now you're saying that you can't stay away. Maybe if his headspace, Edward's headspace, was in the mind of a 17-year-old and like his mind was never been able to fully develop past that, maybe it would make sense that he wants to date Bella, but he keeps talking about like, oh, she's this little girl in a classroom of children. Like, it's so obvious that this man is a man who is 100 and 17 years old or 100 plus years old who wants to date a little girl. Weirdo behavior, weirdo behavior, predator behavior. Besides that, if I get past all of that, which I really can't, I've read My Dark Vanessa, it's really giving those creepy behavior. If I get past all of that, okay, it is sort of romantic in an ironic way, right? It's dark because he literally wants to eat her. It also kind of because she was so tempting to eat. It's this kind of dichotomy of she was still special to him. But that's also the only thing that's special about her. There's nothing else besides her blood that makes her special. But I really like that it's the forbidden romance of I don't know how to be close to you, but I want to try so hard to be close to you. And it's like this force, the resisting of that force. I love that it creates this tension there. And then they finally have their first kiss. He says, this is something I've always wanted to try. And he goes in for the kiss. And the way that they describe this kiss, I can't even imagine that as romantic. I'm not letting myself get super invested in the story. I'm analyzing it too much, especially as a 25-year-old reading this. Like, I'm not letting myself just go into the story because these little things are taking me out of it. I don't care if she's going to geometry class. What does he even smell like? Why are you calling it a classroom of children and a little girl and then you end up wanting to kiss her? He's cold. His skin is icy cold. They go in for the kiss for the first time. She narrates, then his cold marble lips pressed very softly into mine. I cannot imagine that as romantic at all. Because what do you mean his cold marble lips? It makes me think you're actually kissing a dead person. You know how I would describe this? I don't think that would be nice. Like, I think I would be so chilly if I were cuddling Edward. That's so cold and chilly. Like, I'd be cold. Like, it doesn't feel comfortable to cuddle something cold. She's kissing him, and I just imagine an ice cube and just putting an ice cube here and rubbing it on your mouth. That's exactly what I imagine. And that doesn't sound fun. I'm sorry. Now we're getting to Stalker Edward. He takes her home and he opens the door for her and she's like, how did you know the door was unlocked? I was curious about you. You spied on me? He nods. He was unrepentant. What else is there to do at night? I let it go for a moment. How often? I asked casually. How often did you come here? I come here almost every night. Why? You're interesting when you sleep. You talk. No. His expression shifted instantly to chagrin. Are you very angry with me? That depends. On? What you heard, I wailed. Don't be upset. Don't be upset. Why would she not be upset? Why is she more upset that this man, this stranger that she did not know at the time, she's more upset he heard her talk in her sleep than that he came over to her house every night to watch her sleep. She cares more about what she said when she was asleep, which is crazy. He says, don't be self-conscious. If I could dream at all, it would be about you. And I'm not ashamed of it. Don't be self-conscious that a man she did not realize was in her room watching her sleep. Anyway, that's crazy. This is crazy. She doesn't even care. She doesn't care that this guy just sneaks into her room to watch her sleep. She's embarrassed that, oh my God, like, what did I say? Because I talk in my sleep. This man watches her fall asleep, okay? Page 314. Halfway through the book, they've known each other for maybe, I'm not sure the timeline, a few months max. They've only been talking to each other, max, a few weeks. Keep that in mind. He watches her fall asleep, and when she wakes up, this is what their conversation is. Bella says, what did you hear? His gold eyes grew very soft. You said you loved me. You knew that already, I reminded him, ducking my head. It was nice to hear just the same. I love you, I whispered. You are my life now. He answered simply. I'm so sorry, I'm just out of it because I don't believe it. I don't believe that they love each other. Me reading it as an adult, I'm just like, they're so gonna break up in 3 weeks. Also, he's old and looks at her like she's a child. Like, it'd be different if his brain wasn't developed and it was stayed 17-year-old brain. But he literally talks about her like she's a child. Now he's going on about, I've never felt this way. I'm a virgin. I love you. You're my life now. Oh, please. Please. Please miss me with that. What's her favorite color? Even Katniss asked Peeta in the Hunger Games what her favorite color is. And you can't tell me that he knows her favorite color and vice versa. Even in the Spanish love deception, okay? That mid book, you already knew what her favorite color was. I can't even imagine it in here. Even in It Happened One Summer, you could infer what her favorite color was. But I just know that they don't even have an inkling about who the other person is, and you're going on about, I love you this, I love you that. I've never read any Wattpad book that stars teenagers this way before, but they are so teenagers, it's insane. Because at least in Wattpad stories, the teenagers that are in Wattpad stories don't even go to school. They're always ditching school. They're never really in class. You don't know the details of what happens in the class. This goes into depth about the classes, about biology class and all the classmates and the dance. I don't care. I could care less. They have this conversation in the meadow and they talk. I feel nothing. Like, it's just a boring convo, like small talk. How long have you been 17 for? A long time. She looks at him in the sunlight. She's like, wow, you're beautiful. You're literally glowing. You're shining. You have Fenty Beauty body glitter on or something. It's just, I'm not really feeling like they actually love each other. So the fact that she's like, I love you, I'm like, girl, I'll finish up the story and then I'll let you know my thoughts at the end. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Jacob is in front of Bella's house and she's in the car with Edward. Bella says, let me deal with this. Edward replies, that's probably best. Be careful though. The child has no idea. I bridled at the word child. Jacob is not that much younger than I am, I reminded him. He looked at me then, his anger abruptly fading. I know, he assured me with a grin. Gross. Oh my god, it's over. I finally finished this damn book. I came into this book with so much light. I was really thinking going into this book that I was gonna feel a bunch of nostalgia, that I was gonna love it, that it was gonna be so cheesy and so lovey-dovey and they're pining for each other but they can't have each other. I thought it was gonna have all of the toxic romance that was so entertaining, like so many different romances are nowadays. Like after like any Colleen Hoover book, like it's like watching a reality TV show, right? Like, you know that it's not genuinely good literature, but it's just so entertaining and fun to read. I thought that Twilight was gonna be that book, okay? I was so wrong. I thought I was actually gonna enjoy myself. I thought that this wasn't gonna be boring. It ended up being so boring. I was halfway through this video and I had to force myself to finish this book because I just could not get through it. And I don't know if that's the sake of my age. Like, maybe it is a YA book, but I am a fully grown, like my frontal lobe is developed. And I was like analyzing it after I finished the last page and I put this book down. I was analyzing it and really thinking like, no, there's a bunch of different romances that are super juvenile, that take place in high school, or only about the romance, that are super angsty, that I feel way more connected to than I do with the characters in this book and the things that take place in this book. And let's go over them one by one, okay? First of all, why is this book 500 pages when almost absolutely positively nothing happens? Majority 6 plot points that happen. People might think that's a lot, but do you know how many pages 500 pages is? There is only one scene in the entire book where I feel like it is a monumental moment for the relationship at hand, right? The relationship being, if you're not gonna have any plot, which this book doesn't really have plot, at least make the characters and the romance mean something. So the only thing we get about Bella, and both of these characters actually, are they hate themselves. This is all the way at the end of the video, but trigger warnings for the book, like if you absolutely don't like yourself or you have very bad self-image, I would kind of stay away from this book because the characters in the book have really bad self-image, which is real, okay? It's real. A lot of people have that. I have that. It's heavy in this book and I think it's real for high schoolers, right? A lot of high schoolers and middle schoolers, they are going through things. They are depressed. They are self-deprecating and they just utterly hate themselves a lot of the time. And that is who Bella is, and that is also who Edward is. If you're gonna make the romance the main part of the book, make it romantic. The only time that these two characters really truly connected was in the meadow in the middle of the book. And they didn't even connect in that scene. All they did was expo dump to us as readers about how old Edward is, what he is, how much Bella already loves Edward when she barely even knows him and barely found out he was a vampire. Them talking about how he's utterly infatuated with Bella and vice versa, and how they can't stay away from each other for some reason. Other than that, there is nothing within their scenes together that feels like banter, that feels like they're actually connecting with each other. Every single car ride that they have, and they're talking in the car about things that are happening, even at the very end of the book when they're going to prom, their dialogue is so dry. If that is the only way that you're gonna connect these two characters, at least make the dialogue between them entertaining and engaging. He'll say romantic things here and there, but she said, "You're taking me to prom." She's not like most girls, okay? Bella is not like most girls. She doesn't want to go to prom because she's not like most girls. She is a horrible dancer. Like, she hates dancing. Thought that prom was gonna be the last place that they were gonna go to, and Edward asks her, "Oh, if you didn't think we were going to prom, what did you think we were going to go? Like, why did you think I asked you to dress up so nicely?" And she says, "I thought you were gonna turn me into a vampire." And he's like, "What?" Bella has only known this guy for a few months, and she's already ready to turn herself into a vampire for him. Already ready to change her entire life and make this permanent decision that you cannot take away. She's ready to literally die so that she can be with him forever. And you've only known this guy for a few months, if not a whole year. But they barely even talked for a few months, okay? Tell me your frontal lobe's not developed without telling me your frontal lobe's not developed. Tell me you're a teenager without telling me you're a teenager. It's giving Belly from The Summer I Turned Pretty and Jeremiah, making these rash decisions, saying you want to get married, saying you want to change yourself and turn yourself into a vampire. So wholeheartedly saying that, I can understand where she's coming from. The only thing you know about Bella in this entire book is that she kind of hates herself and doesn't really like her life. So she thinks that turning into a vampire, I think, is gonna change that. It's kind of an escapism sort of thing. She hates being a teenager. She hates the life that she's living. She hates how clumsy she is. This is what I got from it, right? And the only thing that she really loves is Edward. And that's why she so easily was like, "Oh my God, Edward, I love you. You're my entire life." She literally says that. She's like, "You are my world now." And Edward says the same thing. Weirdo behavior. I think that that is the motivation for her wanting to become a vampire. I just don't get it otherwise. I really do not get it. The crazy thing is, there's this scene, where towards the end of the book, there's the whole thing that happens with the villain. The villains of the book are a group of 3 vampires who finally come in at the 70% mark of the book. And this is also another inkling to why I don't really like this book. I like a Colleen Hoover book more than I like this book, because at least a Colleen Hoover book is entertaining. Yeah, it's not sending the right message. A Colleen Hoover book is not sending the right message. Yeah, a Colleen Hoover book is really toxic and is promoted as romance, but it shouldn't be romantic. Yes, Colleen Hoover books are not written well, but Colleen Hoover books are also wildly entertaining. I would pick up a Colleen Hoover book any day if I was in a reading slump, just because of how wildly entertaining they are. And reading them is so much fun. This was not fun. It's just not structured right, because how are you gonna bring in the villain 75% of the way through the book? We haven't even met these people. We haven't even met these 3 vampires who end up becoming the villain. The villain's name is James, okay? He is a tracker vampire. Bella finally meets Edward's entire family, and they go out to the middle of nowhere during a thunderstorm so that they can play baseball. And that's a really interesting thing, right? The thunder dilutes the sound of the ball hitting the bat because they're vampires. They're so strong. It's pow, like super, super loud. In this baseball game, that's when we meet the villains. This is 75% of the way through the book. And all of a sudden, right after meeting the villains, we don't even know these people. We barely met them. They go, "We gotta go. We gotta go. You gotta go. James is gonna kill you. You better run away right now. Go to Charlie, tell him you're leaving Forks, that you hated at Forks, and we're gonna go because if you don't go, he will find your entire family and he will kill you all. And we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't even know this dude. How is he supposed to be a threat to me? How am I supposed to know you're threatening? I barely met you, dude. I also barely met Edward's entire family. So how am I supposed to be invested in who Jasper is, who Alice is? Like, we're barely getting to know these characters. Why didn't you, spend the first 400 pages introducing me to the villain, having me familiarize myself with the villain, and then see that he's threatening, then this whole big thing happens, right? Or maybe hint during the book that some vampires are trackers and that they're hunters and they really, really love the game of the hunt. They love to make hunting their prey, which are humans, a game. And make that known in the beginning of the book or throughout the book so that when the villains finally come in and they're introduced, then us as readers know better and are like, oh shoot, they've been telling us about trackers and now there's a tracker here trying to get Bella. At least do a little bit of something. And then after this entire ordeal, Bella almost dies, is in the hospital, and Edward and Bella are talking. Edward says, I would stay in Forks, Bella, or somewhere like it. Somewhere where I couldn't hurt you anymore. Insinuating that he might leave Forks. He might leave her. He didn't say anything. It didn't sink in at first. I continued to stare at him blankly as the words, one by one, clicked into place in my head like a ghastly puzzle. He didn't say anything. He watched my face warily as the pain that had nothing to do with my broken bones, pain that was infinitely worse, threatened to crush me. I stared at him with wild eyes. Shh, Bella, calm down. Don't leave me, I begged in a broken voice. I won't, he promised. Now relax before I call the nurse back to sedate you. But my heart couldn't slow. Bella, he stroked my face anxiously. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here as long as you need me. Do you swear you won't leave me? I whispered. I tried to control the gasping, at least. My ribs were throbbing. Girl, the way she is narrating this, I cannot take her seriously. I cannot take her seriously because what do you mean she's gonna, like, why is she crashing out so hard at this when he didn't even break up with her? He's not even saying he's breaking up with you. He's not saying anything and you're about to crash out. She's like, don't leave me. Don't leave me. I'm like, girl, what is going on? Like, what is the trauma here? Like, what is the abandonment trauma that you're having right now? I don't understand. It seems so toxic. Like, everyone talking about Twilight is always saying how Edward is a toxic one in the relationship. I would argue that they're both toxic. Bella is obviously getting groomed though, so that's bad on Edward. But Bella is so toxic. She is really that person who would threaten their own life if their partner broke up with them. I don't understand how she's crashing out so hard on this. He didn't even say he was gonna leave her yet. It was just the thought of it, and she's like, oh my god, he's gonna leave me. And she feels like her life is over. That's sort of everything that I've thought about. I'm so sorry. I really thought that this video was gonna be jaw-dropping. I go in depth into this book by chapter, but as you can see, as the video got along, I was getting less and less engaged. I'm just honestly so shocked at how popular this book was. I remember watching the movie, and maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I actually think the movie is better, the first movie. Because I actually love the first movie. I think it took all of the great aspects of the book and enhanced it. For example, the villains actually show up throughout the story as opposed to just, bam, they're all the way at the end. Like, where did they come from? So that's kind of one thing I thought was really good. I also felt like I felt the tone more in the movie. I know that it's a movie, so it's more visual. Please, if you have read Twilight, let me know your thoughts down below. I love you guys so much. This was a long one. If you're here till the end, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for hearing me yap. I will catch you in the next one, okay? I love you guys.